Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Everyday Equity, Everyday Ways to Make a Change. My name is Pooja Kothari. I'm the founder of Boundless Awareness and your host. And with me today is Dr. Cathryn Dhanatya. I'm so happy to have her here. Cathryn is the president and CEO and co-founder of Growing Good Incorporated. Growing Good is a professional services firm that provides management consulting, fractional executive support, fundraising, and organizational strategy for nonprofit organizations and companies serving the social good. Welcome, Cathryn. I'm so happy to have you here. I want to pass it over to you to explain more about what you do and explain more about Growing Good.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. We've already had some wonderful conversations. I'm really excited about today. Growing Good has been kind of a lifelong journey project that turned into a company. I tell people I'm a recovering academic and an accidental entrepreneur because I really thought I would be in academia my entire life. But really, the reason I started Growing Good with some of my friends and colleagues was because we really believed that we need to continually plant, and that's why it's called Growing Good, seeds of good in the hopes that some of them will grow. And so that's why we only work with organizations that benefit the social good, products and services that help and create a social impact that's positive and multi-generational change. And so we really took the firm really takes the expertise of strategists who span decades of senior leadership positions. They're mostly like second career, third career kind of phases of life where we take our expertise, whether it's in fundraising or operational strategy or communications, and we develop and advise our strategic partners in terms of the organizations and clients that we serve to help them build organizations that are sustainable and grow and continue to amplify their impact across various sectors. So we've worked across the nonprofit and social impact sector, which has been really exciting. So that's kind of the work that we do on a day-to-day basis. And it's really fun, and it's very meaningful to be able to help in some small way to bring more good into the world, hopefully for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and I wouldn't say it's in any small way because every day we're seeing how much more important our social good and social justice organizations are in the face of our institutions that are not protecting us anymore.
Mhm.
So it's so important, like you said. I love that to plant these seeds so that some of them grow. Um, it's more important now than ever. I Go ahead.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it's also the idea that for us, it's about patience too, right? Like some of the impact that we see may not be in our lifetimes,
Mhm.
or but we still got to try. Like, and that I think that's the entire ethos of the work that we do. We do a lot of work, definitely in the social justice space, but also in the research space and looking at the next generation of medications and cures and therapeutics for diseases that span the world, or looking at things like poverty alleviation, right? I mean, I think that all of those things, or environmental issues or green technology, all of those things are so important, and our little kind of our work helps to hopefully move the needle even just a little bit is what we do. So
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I want to ask you, there's so much to talk about with Growing Good, but I want to start off with like what brought you here. Like, why are you doing this work? What motivates you? What are your lived experiences that brought you to this work?
well, I think it's been a lifelong thing for me. When I was younger, as a kid, I always wanted to be a doctor. Well, being the good Asian kid, like, want to be a doctor. But really, I actually wanted to be like a doctor out in the field in the developing world. Like, and I think part of it was one of the profound experiences for me was I grew up in the early 80s when there was the Ethiopian famine. And I remember being really distressed about kids, seeing kids in so much pain and discomfort and struggling to just have basic necessities. And I remember this quote from like Mr. Rogers about always look for the helpers. And so that was very profound for me in terms of how I wanted to kind of look at my life. And so I always had this idea that whatever I would do, it would be about trying to help make the world a little bit better. And so even though I changed from medicine when I got to college, I still worked in international development. I still did a lot around disease prevention. Um, and my research and education was all around equity and giving better access to treatment options and medications and information to populations that are hard to reach. And so it sort of started from an early age and kind of has morphed as I've gotten older into leveraging expertise and trying to increase impact in different ways.
Yeah. And what brought you and your other co-founders to develop Greater Good?
We developed Growing Good actually during the pandemic. So I was the CAO, COO, and Chief Scientific Administrative Officer for a very large cancer nonprofit and funder. And the pandemic happened. At the time, I was having my own health issues, not COVID related, but I was having chemotherapy, and my children I have twins, were being homeschooled, which was not ideal to have no immune system, have children who are in the first grade now being homeschooled and trying to do like this global huge job all at the same time. And so that's why I call myself the accidental entrepreneur, because I
Yeah.
had basically decided I was going to step back and take a sabbatical and basically be a stay-at-home mom for a little bit. And when I left my job, I think a week later, I got a phone call from a colleague at another international cancer research institution funder, the largest in the UK. And he's like, hey, we have this initiative where we're doing a $500 million cancer initiative partnership with the National Institutes of Health, National Cancer Institute, and we want you to help set up our US nonprofit for it. Can you do it? And I was like, it's really important work, but I'm supposed to be on sabbatical. Like I'm supposed to be stay-at-home mom, like teaching, like
Yeah.
reading, right?
Right.
I don't think I can take a full-time job. And he's like, well, we want you. We think you're the right person. We'll work around your schedule. So what do you say? Consult for us. And I was like, well, this is like a big deal, right? This is a potentially initiative could change cancer therapeutics and patient care for generations. And so I said, okay. And then my husband, being the finance person, was like, well, this isn't a small contract. You actually have to set up a business. Like we can't just be you doing this.
Yeah.
And so we set up that. But then I was like, well, I'm going to bring the smartest people I know from my group of friends and colleagues and network to do it right. And so I called a bunch of people and we set up Growing Good. And that's kind of the way it worked. And then since then, we've I think helped over 40 different organizations and done different types of work and support and strategy for them. So it's been really cool.
That's wild. That's wild. I misspoke earlier. I said Greater Good, but I meant to say Growing Good. But Growing Good is supporting the Greater Good.
Yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely.
but what a wild origin story. That is incredible.
Yeah. So I tell people, don't do as I do, but still listen to what I say. Cause it's not really a business plan. Um, and I do a lot of business planning. And I mean, fortunately, because of that background, we were able to really structure it and become profitable very early on. But it was sort of not something that I had necessarily planned on doing. I think in some ways it was the universe pushing me to do something different. And I think that was a really meaningful experience that I don't know if the me from my 20s would have ever thought that that would be where I would kind of end up in this phase of my life, but it's been really great.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit, I mean, about like fear and trepidation of starting something completely new that and unexpected, or like if other people are in situations where they um let's say embarking on equity for the first time, or trying
Mhm.
to understand all of this, but it's like it's very intimidating if you don't know, and here you were in a situation where you had this massive opportunity, but it was going to take you in a completely different direction. I imagine there was some intimidation, or some feeling of trepidation there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're human, right? I have had multiple experiences of pivoting. I mean, I think in some ways it's been really concerning for my parents over time. And they're like, what do you mean you're not going into med school? You're in a program for medical like stuff. And I was like, I'm
Wow.
going to be an English major, or when I left academia, my parents were like, but you have a lifetime job. Like, why are you leaving?
Totally.
So I think for me, and it's interesting because it actually ties to my TED talk where that I just gave in August. One of the lessons that I've learned and I share with people is the importance of letting your love be greater than your fear. And I think
Mm.
that that's what drives me, is that my love for whether it's a person, an idea, a belief is greater than the fear and trepidation I have. And it actually motivates me to move beyond that. So whether if you love something, you fight for it. If you truly love something, you fight for it. And
Yeah.
so it forces you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, right? Whether it's moving beyond like your own doubt, or moving beyond your own failure, or moving beyond whatever it is inside of you. When it's something that you truly can love, then I think it animates more than anything else. And so I think that's for me how I viewed um, the desire to move in different directions. So with me, it was like, well, my love for the belief that everybody deserves to live a healthy life, and that if we have the opportunity to create life-saving cures at a mass scale, like, we have to do it. And yes, it's scary, but we'll figure it out, right? And so I think that really animates for me all of my work, is
Yeah.
having a deep emotional care for what I do and for the people that I work with and the organizations that I work with, and the work that they do is really meaningful. And that's why I tell people, it's like, we only take clients that we believe in, because I am not effective when I don't believe in what I'm doing.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and who are working for the social good,
Mhm.
and really propelling them forward. I was reading to my 4-year-old yesterday last night, and I was reading this book. Navya sings for Navratri, which is a Hindu festival, um, and she loves singing. The girl in the book, Navya, loves singing, but she's like has a lot of stage fright. So she's like really afraid to sing for this festival. Um, and when the opportunity comes for her to get on stage, she says no. And in that moment in the book, it says Navya let her fear speak for her. And I just love that line, because who what are you choosing to speak for you? Is it your love for the work that can like transport you through your fear, or are you gonna let your fear speak for you and kind of close down the opportunity or not move forward? And I just love that line because all of that is within us. But I think we do choose subconsciously or through, because of fear or intimidation, we let our fear speak for us so many times when we could choose to boldly go forward with the love for the work.
Well, and I think the other thing too is we as a society and individually tend to equate emotions as being positive or negative. And I think that you have to make peace with all of it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're always in adversarial mode with your own emotions, whether it's the fear that you have or the love that you have, it's really hard to be productive if you're always in conflict. So I think fear is a good can be really good and important. It keeps you alive, right? It allows you to look at danger and risk and to be able to assess that. And so I think you have to be able to say, okay, I have conversations with myself where I'm like, okay, I'm really scared. Why is it that I'm scared? What is it about this experience or this feeling makes me panicked or makes me worried or makes me trepidation? It's because if I don't understand that, then I can't make peace with that,
Yeah.
right? And so, yes, you can let your fear become overwhelming and speak for you, or you can let your fear teach you what it is that you need to know about the situation so that you can make a better decision.
Mm. We have a few people who are loving what you say. I just want to put them on the screen for a second. Nadia Grieve says, "Wow, thanks for crystallizing this love over fear, and that love motivates your work." And Kia CPO, who we had on just a few weeks ago, says, "So true. You have to believe in your work to truly be productive." Um, I want to talk about something you mentioned just a little bit earlier, which was your forthcoming TEDx talk. So I know you've recorded it. It's coming out shortly, but are you allowed to speak about what you spoke about or tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So I'm a nerd academic, right? And my entire life, I thought I would, if I ever gave a TED talk, it would be about research and, and it was research light, but it would be like hardcore, like science and all of this. It ended up being a very personal story, and my TED talk. Uh, so I was in labor for 75 days. Like, yes, 75 days, not hours, days. I was pregnant with twins at the time, and I went into labor at 20 weeks. And so I ended up in the hospital, upside down, in labor with contractions for 75 days, trying to keep them in. And the good thing is they're fine. They're now going to be teenagers,
Yeah.
but I survived. But one of the things that I thought was really profound for me was what I learned from that experience. And so the TED Talk was really centered on what I learned. And for me, it was, I call it untaught strength, which is this idea that we're taught as kids, as we grow up, as we move it through life, you have to learn to be stronger. You have to learn to be more resilient. And I argue, no, that's actually incorrect. And the reason being is that if we look at our biology, the fact that you're alive means that you're strong.
Yeah.
The fact that you are alive means that you are resilient, because every single second of the day, your body is fighting to have homeostasis, right? That's a
Hmm.
biological function of
Yep.
life. And so I argue that being in labor for that long and having something that feels like impossible for most people or just astounding taught me to reclaim that internal strength and resilience. And so through that process, I say that we can all reclaim that. And so I talk about like the 3 ways which I do it, which is, you know, letting your love be greater than your fear, letting finding your people, the importance of having a network and family support, and then how to be a pragmatic optimist, to believe that things can be better, and then plan and figure out how to get there when it's really hard.
Yeah.
And so that was like sort of the overview of my TED Talk.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
so hopefully people will watch it. It'll be up soon. I think it should be fun.
Yeah.
And then it actually is led to a book. So I'm actually expanding the TED Talk into a book that'll be coming out in 2020.
Oh, fantastic. We will definitely be posting your TED Talk. And I want to be the first to watch it because that is it's a very valuable lesson. And the way you describe it is really, really powerful. Um, gosh. Um, we have some comments here about what you just said about your labor. So I'm not going to put them on screen, but people are really astounded. Um,
Well, I think it's, I mean, I don't think I'm particularly like, people are like, oh, you're really strong. I'm like, I don't think I'm particularly abnormally strong. I just think that for me, I had had so many issues getting pregnant and miscarrying that when I knew that my kids were at the time fine, I loved them so much, it didn't matter what happened to me.
yeah.
And so I had to try. And I think that that was the driving factor. And it's become an animating factor for my life in general and the work I do, because for me, it was like, you can do really hard things, but you have to believe it's possible. And then you have to believe that there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so for me, it was because I loved my kids. And it was like, you know what? If I can give them a fighting chance, I can't live with myself for not trying. And I may not be successful, but I have to try.
Yeah. You know what's really amazing is throughout your storytelling, what you're not talking about is um the body experience, the physical pain that you went through. I mean, you're really focusing on the outcome, your kids, your love, but you're not oh, I would say a lot of people might talk about the pain that they were in and had their own struggle, but the way you frame it is it's very magical. I mean, you take it out of the body experience when you're talking about strength.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's your body is strong, but your mind is stronger. And I think if you're able to, there was research that was done about pain, that people who are able to be in the moment of pain and realize that it's finite are able to get through, have much higher thresholds of pain.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it was part of it was like tricking my brain and like gamifying time and things like that, because it's a long time to be in this position where you have no idea what the end date is either. Right. Because
Yeah, 75
we,
days is kind of a lot.
well, I mean, my kids were still premature. They were born at 33 weeks and 2 days. So my labor should have ended at like 40 weeks, right, for a normal
Right.
pregnancy.
Right.
So there was a whole range of time that this could have been. But for me, it was, and I teach my kids this, like, yes, there's discomfort. Sometimes it's not about worrying about what's going to happen in 5 days or in a week or in a month. Sometimes it's just about, I need to focus on what I can do to get through this moment and then the next moment and then the next moment. And over time that creates progress, right? It's like, it's like when you have young children and you're like, my one of my friends told me the days are long and the years are short. And there are days when you have toddlers where you're like, I am not going to survive until bedtime. Like, it is not going to happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
I am like this professional person who can do
Yeah.
all of this stuff, but this this baby or this toddler is like owning me at this moment, and I am not going to survive. but you do, right? And so sometimes you just have to kind of just
Yeah.
ride it out and then be like, okay, made it through today.
Right.
And that's
Right.
and that's a
Right.
win, right?
Right.
Sometimes that's what you just have to do.
Totally. And not seeing like the daily pain or struggle as cumulative, but like a step by step.
Mhm.
Absolutely. It's like when you know when you know a route and you like walk there every day, it seems like a really fast way to get there. But like if you're hiking or going on the path for the first time and you don't know where the end point is, it feels long. I feel like struggle is kind of like that. Like when you know
Yeah,
it's finite.
absolutely. But then the way back feels shorter because
Yes,
you know where
exactly.
you're going, right? Like, but when
Yeah.
you're getting there, you're like, when am I gonna get there? How is it gonna, So I think it's about also, like I said, being able to make peace with all of the things that are happening and accept them. Because I think for me, the worst part is pain is always worse when you struggle against it.
Yeah.
But if you say, okay, this is happening, I acknowledge it, it really sucks, but I accept that it is my reality in this moment and it will not be my reality forever.
Yeah. Yeah, like they say, what you resist persists.
Mhm.
Yeah. Kia CPO has a comment here that's not coming up on my screen, so I just want to read it. She says, "Thank you for reminding us of our strength as human beings, especially living in this current climate." You're really good at reminding us and really inspiring. Just the way you present your ideas is really motivating. Um, I want to put up here how to connect with Cathryn, how to connect with Growing Good. Um, if there are organizations that are wanting to like move forward in their equity or their strategy, how can they get in touch with you? How do you work with them? How do they like make that connection with Growing Good?
So I'm a really bad widget maker and I'm a really bad capitalist in that regard.
Right.
So we at Growing Good work with each organization in a very boutique fashion. I mean, there's like basically, I always say I have a really large toolbox and toolkit, and we co-create something together because sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you need a screwdriver, sometimes you need a piece of paper and a pencil. And I don't like to say a prescribed method, but I really talk about all of our strategists really get to know the organizations that they work with and their DNA. And then we figure out what makes the most sense in terms of how to support you and how to build strategy. Because I am a firm believer that success can come in multiple ways and that there's not one path that's right. And I think that's where information and data and understanding who the organization is and who are the people that work there, right? What are the assets that you bring? What are things that are stretches for you or strengths that you have? Because I think then you come up with a strategy that makes sense for the organization of who they are and who they want to become. If you don't understand that, you have to understand who they were, you have to understand who they are, and then you can help them to be who they want to become. But there's no like prescribed, like step one, do this, step two, do that. We always start off with doing a deep dive and almost like a ethnography research analysis of
Yeah.
who the organization is. And then we come up with what are the best tools, what are the best strategies, what are things that they would need to be able to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And are the
Yeah.
goals realistic? Are the goals the right goals? Should we be rethinking our goals? Those are all the questions that we talk about.
Yeah, so it must be customized to each company or nonprofit that comes into your orbit. That's yeah, that's
And
so
but we
important.
do best practices. We do research based, proven things that are successful. But not every solution fits every organization, and you have to be able to acknowledge that, and you have to be able to honor that. So I think we really focus on how we can help this particular organization become the best version of themselves. I think that's also been my life's work. Like, I want people to become the most radiant and vibrant and actualized version of themselves. Right? That's what we should do in the
Yeah.
world. If we all did
Yeah.
that, then I think the world would be better.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Cathryn, you are so powerful. I am so happy that you decided to come on our LinkedIn Live series. It's been so great, and we can see from the comments how much you've affected people just in the last 30 minutes. Um, Check out Catheryn's TED Talk upcoming. Her book coming out next in 2026.
2026.
Yeah,
My
amazing.
editor is on me to finish. So
Yeah, I
yes.
don't want to like push it, but yeah, look out
Yes.
for Catheryn's book. We'll be plugging that also, and connect with Cathryn on LinkedIn, Blue Sky, IG, anywhere, everywhere. Cathryn, thank you so much for your time today. To everyone else, we'll be back in 2 weeks with our next LinkedIn Live. Thanks so much for joining us. Take care.
Bye. Thanks.
Darn it. Sorry. Oh
No
gosh.
worries.
Okay. I meant to end the stream. Okay, here we go.